Welcome to the deep dive, the place where we really get into the weeds on the big ideas from the metabolic revolution.
We really do.
And today we're tackling something that is, I think, probably the most foundational, but also the most ignored part of health, and that's breathing.
Yeah.
Specifically, we're getting into the secret life of carbon dioxide and why almost everything you've been taught about taking good, deep breaths is, well, metabolically backwards.
It is a massive paradox, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
we're just conditioned from every angle, fitness coaches, wellness apps, to think that the goal is to gulp in as much oxygen as possible.
Right. Big breaths equal health.
But when you actually look at the biochemistry, the real mechanics of it all, the truth is completely flipped on its head. Breathing too much, too often, actually leads directly to a suppressed metabolism. It creates a state of chronic oxygen starvation at the cellular level.
Okay, let's just pause on that. That's the core idea for this entire deep dive. Your breathing pattern is like the absolute foundation for your entire metabolic system.
It's the prerequisite.
Exactly. You could be doing everything else right, perfect diet, avoiding seed oils, getting your supplements in, but if your breathing is off, your cells are still going to be gasping for air. You'll be cold, tired, and anxious. It's like having a Ferrari, but with a pinched fuel line.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. All the advice focuses on getting oxygen in, but it totally ignores the actual delivery mechanism. And that's where carbon dioxide comes in. It's the hero of the story.
So I want to give everyone listening a chance to test this right now. This isn't just a party trick. It's a real functional assessment of your metabolic health. We're going to walk you through something called the control pause test.
Okay, so if you can, just find a comfortable place to sit, get relaxed, and for the next minute or so, just breathe normally, in and out through your nose. Just settle your system down.
All right. Now, when you're ready, take a normal, quiet breath in through your nose. Nothing huge, just a normal inhale.
And then let a normal, gentle breath out through your nose. Again, don't force it. Don't try to empty your lungs. Just a passive, normal exhale.
And as soon as you finish that exhale, gently pinch your nose closed with your fingers and start timing.
Now, this is the most important part. You're going to stop the timer the very first moment you feel a distinct urge to breathe. This could be a little swallow, a slight contraction in your diaphragm, or a tightening in your throat.
The very first signal. Don't push past it. Don't try to be a hero. Just stop the clock right then.
So what was your number?
If you couldn't comfortably get to at least 40 seconds, then the data shows that your metabolism is likely suppressed. Your cells are in a state of chronic hypoxia or oxygen starvation, and that's a really big deal.
And just to be clear, that number, your control pause score, it has nothing to do with your lung capacity. It's a direct measure of how well your body tolerates carbon dioxide.
And that tolerance dictates everything.
Everything. Thyroid function, fertility, how much energy your cells can make, your body temperature. And the irony is that the cellular suffocation isn't caused by breathing too little. It's caused by breathing too much.
Which is just a total mind bender. And it brings us right to a case study that shows this in action. Let's talk about Rachel. She was 34. And she was the perfect example of someone doing everything right, but still falling apart.
Oh, Rachel's story is one we see all the time. Her symptoms were just brutal. She had this constant humming anxiety that would explode into full-blown panic attacks a few times a week.
Wow.
And her sleep was a disaster. She couldn't fall asleep. She'd wake up all night. And then there were the classic signs, always cold, especially her hands and feet, and this really severe brain fog.
How severe?
She told us she would be in business meetings and literally forget common words mid-sentence. I mean, it was terrifying for her.
I can't even imagine. So when you looked at her objective data, what did you see?
Well, her body temperature told the story. It was 96.9 degrees Fahrenheit in the afternoon, which is, a clear sign of a very slow metabolic rate.
And she was doing all the right things, diet-wise.
Everything. She was deep into the bioenergetic framework, eating plenty of good carbs, no polyunsaturated fats. She was on top of her nutrition. Her diet was not the problem.
So what was the clue? What did you notice when you just observed her?
Her breathing. It was frantic. She was a mouth breather, even just sitting there. You could see her chest heaving, taking these short, shallow breaths. We clocked her at about 20 breaths a minute.
Which is basically double what it should be, right?
At least double. An optimal resting rate is closer to, say, 6 to 10. She was chronically hyperventilating and had absolutely no idea. It was just her default setting.
So you had her do the control pause test.
We did. And just to really hammer this home, the control pause is the time from a normal exhale until that first distinct urge to breathe. It's all about your body's tolerance for carbon dioxide.
And Rachel's score?
It was 11 seconds.
11. That's devastatingly low.
It's a state of profound carbon dioxide deficiency. And that one number just connected everything, the anxiety, the insomnia, the coldness, the brain fog. Her cells were starving for oxygen because the delivery system was broken.
Okay, so this is where it gets really powerful. 3 months later, after focusing only on retraining her breathing, what happened?
Her control pause jumped to 42 seconds.
Oh.
And with that, the chronic anxiety and the panic attacks gone. She started sleeping through the night. Her body temperature came up to a healthy 98.1 degrees. The brain fog vanished. And this was with no changes to her diet or her supplements.
So the breathing was the key that unlocked everything else. It allowed her body to finally use the good fuel she was giving it.
That's it exactly. It fixed the cellular environment. It removed the biggest roadblock to energy production.
This takes us right into the core science, this carbon dioxide paradigm shift. The urge you feel to breathe isn't about needing oxygen.
Not at all. I mean, when you hold your breath, your blood oxygen saturation stays really high, like 98, 99% for minutes. What's building up fast is carbon dioxide. That's what triggers the powerful, unavoidable reflex to breathe.
So our bodies are wired to respond to carbon dioxide levels, not oxygen levels.
Precisely. Your brain's respiratory center is exquisitely sensitive to carbon dioxide. And if your tolerance for it is low, like Rachel's was, your brain will force you to breathe way too often to keep it down.
Which is why we've got to stop thinking of carbon dioxide as just a toxic waste product.
It's the opposite. It is an absolutely essential molecule. You can have all the oxygen in the world in your lungs, but without enough carbon dioxide in your blood, that oxygen stays stuck. It can't get delivered to your tissues.
And this is the Bohr effect, right?
This is the Bohr effect, discovered over 100 years ago by Christian Bohr. It's the fundamental principle of oxygen delivery. It basically states that hemoglobin's grip on oxygen is inversely related to the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood.
Okay, let's break that down. Inversely related means they work in opposite directions.
Exactly. When you have plenty of carbon dioxide in your blood, which happens when you breathe correctly, nice and slow, it makes the blood slightly more acidic. This tiny change in pH signals the hemoglobin molecule to change its shape.
And that shape change is the key.
It is. It weakens the bond, and hemoglobin releases its oxygen easily to the cells that need it. So more carbon dioxide means oxygen gets delivered. The door is unlocked.
So what happens when we hyperventilate? When we're breathing too fast, blowing off all that carbon dioxide?
The blood becomes too alkaline. And in that alkaline state, hemoglobin changes shape again, but this time it clamps down on the oxygen. It holds it incredibly tightly. So even though your blood is saturated with oxygen, your cells can't get it.
The door is locked shut.
Locked shut. And so the stunning conclusion is that breathing more and faster actually delivers less oxygen to your cells. You are literally suffocating your tissues by overbreathing.
And that's the metabolic collapse right there. The cells don't have oxygen.
And without oxygen, they can't run their primary high-efficiency energy pathway oxidative phosphorylation. That's the one that makes, 36 ATP, the big energy payout.
So they're forced into their backup system.
Right, into anaerobic glycolysis, which is incredibly inefficient. It only gives you 2 ATP. It's the emergency generator. And that massive energy drop is why people feel so cold and tired and foggy.
And this is where the thyroid connection comes in, because the thyroid is one of the most energy-hungry tissues in the body.
Incredibly so. It demands a huge amount of oxygen. If it can't get that oxygen because of a poor Bohr effect, it does the only sensible thing it can do.
It slows down.
It slows everything down. It's a protective mechanism. Trying to fix your thyroid with supplements while ignoring your breathing is like trying to fill a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. You're fighting a battle you just can't win.
Okay, so if this is so bad for us, why is almost everyone doing it? Why is chronic hyperventilation basically an epidemic?
I think there are about 5 big reasons that all feed into each other. The first one is just modern life. It's chronic stress.
The fight or flight response.
Right. But our fight or flight system was designed for, running from a tiger. It jacks up your breathing rate for a few minutes to get you ready for intense physical action.
But our modern stress isn't a tiger. It's emails and traffic and deadlines.
Exactly. So you're sitting at your desk, but your body is breathing like you're running for your life. And over time, your brain gets used to that. It resets your tolerance for carbon dioxide to a new, lower level. And a healthy amount of carbon dioxide starts to feel wrong, like you're suffocating, which makes you breathe even more.
It becomes a vicious cycle. What's the second cause?
Mouth breathing. It's a metabolic catastrophe. Your nose is designed to regulate airflow. It warms it, it filters it, but most importantly, It adds resistance.
which slows the breath down.
It slows it down and it keeps the volume lower, which helps you retain carbon dioxide. When you breathe through your mouth, you bypass that whole system. You're just taking in huge, unregulated gulps of air. It's a fast track to hyperventilation.
And the third one is a bit controversial, especially in the wellness world. It's the myth of deep breathing.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. Because slow, gentle, diaphragmatic breathing is good, but what's often taught is big, forceful, frequent breaths.
Like in some yoga classes, breathe into your belly over and over.
Right, and if you're breathing deeply and frequently, you are actively flushing carbon dioxide out of your system. You're making your blood more alkaline, which ironically makes your nerve cells more excitable and can actually increase feelings of anxiety at the cellular level.
So it's about volume and rate. Gentle and slow is the goal, not big and fast.
Exactly. And the fourth reason is just bad posture. We spend all day hunched over a computer or a phone.
That posture physically blocks your diaphragm.
It does. So you can't take a proper deep belly breath. You're forced to compensate by using your chest muscles, which leads to that shallow, rapid breathing pattern.
And finally, even the medical textbooks seem to have it wrong.
They do. They often say a normal breathing rate is, 12 to 20 breaths a minute? But from all the clinical work, we know that for optimal health, for a good high-control pause score, your resting rate needs to be down in the 6 to 10 range. So what we call normal is already mild hyperventilation.
Let's bring this to life with Michael's story.
Yeah.
He was a 42-year-old entrepreneur, and he was the classic high-stress case.
Michael was a perfect storm. Super successful, high achiever, but he was a wreck internally. He had terrible insomnia, crushing anxiety, and again, the classic cold hands and feet. His temperature was only 97.2.
And like Rachel, his diet was dialed in.
Oh, yeah. He was doing everything right on the nutrition front. But his breathing, it was this fast, shallow, almost panting pattern, a lot of mouth breathing, and his control pause was only 14 seconds.
How was his sleep?
That was the disaster zone. His wife told us his snoring was so bad she had to sleep in another room, which is, a huge red flag for mouth breathing and possibly sleep apnea.
So he was hyperventilating for 8 hours every single night.
Exactly. Any good he did during the day was being completely undone while he slept. So the intervention for him was really direct. You will breathe through your nose 24/7, and at night, you will tape your mouth shut.
I'm sure he loved that idea.
He thought it was crazy at first, but he was desperate. And the results were just undeniable. Within 2 weeks, the snoring that was destroying his marriage, it just stopped.
That must have been a huge motivator.
It was. And then his sleep got deeper, the anxiety started to lift, and his temperature came up to a solid 98.3. The breathing was the missing piece that made everything else work.
Let's really dig into this anxiety connection, because it's so often treated as a purely psychological issue.
But it has a massive, massive physiological driver, and that is low carbon dioxide. When you hyperventilate and your blood becomes alkaline, it triggers 3 major neurological effects that feel exactly like anxiety.
Okay, what's the first one?
It's called vasoconstriction. The alkalinity causes the blood vessels to tighten up, especially the ones going to the brain.
So you're actually getting less blood flow to your brain.
A lot less. So even though you think you're getting more oxygen by breathing hard, you're actually choking off the blood supply. That's what causes that dizziness, confusion, and brain fog during a panic attack.
The brain is literally being starved of fuel.
It is. The second effect is increased neuronal excitability. The change in pH messes with the electrical stability of your nerve cells. They start to fire off randomly.
And that's where the physical sensations come from.
Yes. That's the tingling in your hands and feet, the muscle twitches, the racing heart, that feeling of impending doom. Your nervous system is physically misfiring because its chemical environment is unstable. Carbon dioxide is a natural tranquilizer for the nerves.
That third effect.
The body panics. The brain interprets this drop in carbon dioxide and blood flow as a life-threatening emergency, and it hits the big red button.
Adrenaline.
Floods the system with adrenaline and cortisol, and that just creates this horrible feedback loop. You feel stressed, so you breathe faster. Breathing faster drops your carbon dioxide, which makes you feel more stressed and anxious, which makes you breathe even faster.
And that explains the old paper bag trick for panic attacks.
It does. It's not a psychological trick. By rebreathing your exhaled air, you're rapidly forcing carbon dioxide back into your system. You reverse the alkalosis, the blood vessels open up, the nerves calm down, and the panic attack stops. It's pure biochemistry.
So people with chronic anxiety are basically living in a state of mild, constant physiological panic.
That's right. Their control pause is almost always in that 15 to 25-second range. By training them to raise their carbon dioxide tolerance, we're not just coping with symptoms, we are fixing the underlying electrical and vascular problem.
And this ties right into what Ray Peat was saying for decades, calling carbon dioxide one of the most important substances for health.
Oh, absolutely. He wrote about its anti-inflammatory effects, how it protects against oxidative stress. It's just fundamental to healthy cell function.
Let's make that connection even more direct and talk about the thyroid. How does this breathing pattern create what you call functional hypothyroidism?
Well, as we said, the thyroid is an energy hog. It needs a ton of oxygen to work. If the Bohr effect is broken because of low carbon dioxide, the thyroid literally can't get the oxygen it needs to make hormones properly.
But so many people have normal blood tests. Their TSH looks fine, they're on medication, but they still feel awful.
That is the definition of functional hypothyroidism. The hormones might be in the blood, but they aren't working at the cellular level. And low carbon dioxide is a huge reason why.
How does that work?
Two ways. First, low oxygen in the tissues impairs the conversion of the inactive T4 hormone into the active T3 hormone, so you have less of the active stuff where you need it. But even more importantly, carbon dioxide is crucial for the cell's responsiveness to T3.
So it helps the cell hear the signal from the hormone.
Perfectly put. It stabilizes the cell membrane and helps the thyroid receptors work properly. When carbon dioxide is low, the cell is basically deaf to the thyroid's message, even if the hormone is screaming at it.
And this explains the temperature connection so clearly.
Absolutely. When people hyperventilate, they are literally blowing heat out of their bodies. And more importantly, their mitochondria, the little furnaces in their cells, can't generate heat efficiently because they're starved for usable oxygen.
So when you see someone's control pause go up, their temperature follows.
Every single time. You take someone from a CP of 15 up to 35, and I guarantee you their body temperature will climb by at least half a degree, if not more. It's a direct reflection of their metabolic fire turning back on.
Let's talk about Jennifer. Her case study is such a perfect illustration of this.
Jennifer was 29. She had a hypothyroidism diagnosis, was on levothyroxine. Her TSH was a perfect 2.0, but her symptoms were still there. She was cold, 97.3 degrees, exhausted, foggy, and her hair was falling out.
The classic picture. So what was her breathing like?
Her control pause was 16 seconds, and she was a chronic mouth breather, especially at night. She always woke up with a dry, sore throat. So for 8 hours every night, she was just purging her body of carbon dioxide.
Setting herself up for failure every single day.
Completely. So the intervention was all about breathing mechanics. Nasal breathing all day, taping her mouth at night, and gentle buteyko exercises.
The result?
In just 6 weeks, her CP shot up to 38 seconds. Her temperature rose to a healthy 98 degrees. Her energy came back, the fog lifted. And the most important part is we never touched her thyroid medication.
The dose stayed the same.
The dose was the same. We just fixed the cellular environment so the medication she was already taking could actually do its job. It wasn't about adding more hormone. It was about letting the existing hormone work.
That's such a critical point. We have to briefly touch on fertility because this has huge implications there as well.
It really does. It's a systemic disruption. First, you have the thyroid issue we just talked about, which directly impacts progesterone, a crucial hormone for fertility.
And then the stress hormones.
Right. All that adrenaline and cortisol from the low carbon dioxide emergency signal actively suppresses the entire reproductive axis. The body is essentially in a not safe to reproduce mode.
And then there's just basic oxygen delivery to the reproductive organs.
Exactly. The ovaries, the uterus, a developing embryo, they all need a rich oxygen supply. Low carbon dioxide compromises that. Add in poor sleep from mouth breathing at night, and you have a recipe for hormonal chaos.
We see this in our fertility programs. Just getting women to tape their mouths at night can have a huge impact on their cycles and their basal body temperatures.
It's foundational. It removes that chronic nightly stress signal and allows the body's hormonal systems to start to re-regulate.
Okay, we have made the case. Now let's get practical. Let's walk everyone through the control pause test protocol one more time, very clearly, so they can do it accurately.
Accuracy is key. This isn't about proving how long you can hold your breath. It's a precise physiological measurement.
All right, so step 1, sit down, relax. Breathe normally and quietly through your nose for a minute or 2.
Step 2. After a normal, gentle exhale through your nose, don't force it out. Pinch your nose shut and start your timer.
And step 3, the crucial part. Stop the timer. The instant you feel that very first distinct signal that you need to breathe. The first urge. Record that number.
Okay, now let's talk about what those numbers actually mean.
If your score is under 10 seconds, that's a red alert. That's severe hyperventilation. You are likely in a metabolic crisis with severe anxiety and a very low temperature.
If you're in the 10 to 20 second range, that's significant hyperventilation. This is where we find most people with chronic fatigue and metabolic issues. Your energy is low, your hands are cold, and breathing needs to be your top priority.
20 to 30 seconds is mild dysfunction. You're not in crisis, but there's a lot of room for improvement. You probably have some fatigue and anxiety.
30 to 40 seconds is getting into the fair to good range. You're approaching metabolic health. Your temperature should be getting more stable, up around 98 to 98.4.
And 40 seconds or more is the goal. That's good to excellent. It means you have great cellular oxygenation, a robust metabolism, and your temperature should be consistently in that healthy 98.6 range.
And if you're over 60, that's just superior metabolic health. That's elite level.
The great thing about the CP is that it's a free, real-time check engine light for your metabolism. You can track it every day.
So how do we get that number up? This brings us to the Buteyko method. It's a system designed specifically to retrain your body to tolerate higher, healthier levels of carbon dioxide.
And the core principle is completely counterintuitive.
It is. The goal is to consciously and consistently breathe less. You want to create a very slight, tolerable feeling of air hunger. Right. That's the signal that you're retraining your brain's respiratory center.
Let's go through the core principles. Number 1.
Nasal breathing. Always. 24/7. No exceptions. Day, night during exercise. Your nose is your regulator. Plus, it produces nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator that improves blood flow even more.
We have to really stress the nighttime part.
It's non-negotiable. If you wake up with a dry mouth, your mouth breathing, you're undoing all your hard work. The fix is simple. A small piece of medical paper tape vertically over your lips at night. It's a game changer.
Okay, principle number 2.
Breathe less, not more. The goal is quiet, gentle, barely perceptible breathing. You should aim for silence. You want to feel that constant, very light air hunger. That's the sweet spot for raising your carbon dioxide tolerance.
It's not about feeling panicked, though.
Not at all. It has to be gentle. If it creates stress, you're pushing too hard.
And principle 3 is the active practice.
Right. Gentle breath holds. These are short, controlled holds to build tolerance. The exercise is simple. Sit quietly, breathing through your nose. After a normal exhale, just hold your breath for 3 to 5 seconds.
Just 3 to 5 seconds. Very short.
Very short. Then breathe normally and calmly for about 10 or 15 seconds. The key is that your breathing after the hold is perfectly calm. If you have to gasp for air, the hold was too long. Repeat that cycle 5 or 10 times, a couple of times a day.
And what about for people who exercise?
That's the advanced technique. During your workouts, try to consciously reduce your breathing volume all through the nose. This forces your body to become much more efficient at using oxygen under stress. It builds incredible metabolic resilience.
Okay, let's wrap this all up in a final 5-step action plan.
Step 1, test your control pause right now. Get your baseline number.
Step 2, commit to 204/7 nasal breathing. Start using mouth tape tonight.
Step 3, do the gentle Buteyko breath hold exercises every day, 5 to 10 minutes a few times a day. Create that mild air hunger.
Step 4, be mindful throughout the day, slow your breathing down, aim for that silent, gentle rhythm of 6 to 10 breaths a minute.
And step 5, pay attention to the results. Are your hands warmer? Are you sleeping better? Is your anxiety lower? Be patient with the CP score. That takes weeks or months to change, but you'll feel the other benefits in days.
So, to synthesize all of this, your breathing pattern is the absolute foundation of your metabolic health. If you don't have enough carbon dioxide, your cells simply cannot make energy efficiently. Fixing your breathing is what allows your diet, your supplements, and everything else you're doing to actually work.
You've likely spent your entire life breathing in a way that actively suppresses your own energy production every single minute of every day. The secret to using oxygen isn't to breathe more of it in, it's to conserve the carbon dioxide that allows you to use it. That's the key that unlocks everything.
So take a breath in through your nose, a gentle breath out, and hold it. Find your number. It's time to start raising your carbon dioxide tolerance and turning your own metabolic power back on.